I almost said happy Friday. Huh. We'll call that wishful thinking, but at the same time, it's sort of depressing. It is not close to being Friday. If you're joining live, you know it's only Monday. If you're not joining live, it's only Monday. But we have a little ways to go. I lost most of my weekend, so I feel like I have no idea what's going on anymore. But here I am. Here I am. Okay, so give you a second to get your notification that we're live. We need to turn this. It needs to be more, stay sassy. It needs to be more upfront. All right, you guys. Hey, if you haven't joined before, this is what we call Monday Soul Deliciousness. And basically, it's where you get to have some delicious information for your soul, feeding your body at your soul level, helping you to become more balanced, helping you to find that beautiful state where you're back at a level of joy, releasing pain, finding happiness, and you know what? Just making you an overall just really nice, better person to hang out with. So go ahead, say hello when you hop on here. Tell me where you're at. Say hello, say hello. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it. So first of all, I want to let you know that I have a Google business page that I just began. And so I am going to post a link, okay? So you can, hopefully this works, there we go. You can use this link, hello, Kristen. You can use this link to post a review, and then on May 31st is the last day that you can do it as far as getting into my current little giveaway. So we'll give away a $50 gift card to someone, to one of you that posts a review. So you can hop on there and do that. If your name is something different on your Google page, like your name is, you know, Honest Sassy Mama or something, instead of what your name is, then please message me and let me know that it's you so that I can make sure to get you entered. So what we're going to talk about tonight, though, is we're going to talk about how is your mind and your body connected, because it's really important to understand this. Sometimes, not sometimes, I'm going to rephrase that. All the time, knowledge is power. Really understanding what in the heck is going on can be so beneficial to helping us get rid of things. And I'm really rather, I've decided that I really need to go to the eye doctor. So I'm going to increase the size of my page here so I can actually see. Okay, here we go. All right. So let's talk about that. I want you to think of your mind and your body as one thing that's working together to create your overall whole, because sometimes we forget about specific elements of how this whole thing comes together. And I feel like really, at least from my background of like what I was taught in school, I mean, I didn't learn anything about my body being an electromagnetic field, which it's scientifically proven that your body is very much an electromagnetic field. It's very much an energy source. And I'm thinking back to, for some reason, my 6th grade health class really stands out as the only health class I ever took, which I'm sure I took more. It's just not really ringing a bell. And so, you know, we have to think of this as all encompassing. Like, how does all of this play together? Because I only learned basically that there are two things going on. I have my physical body that's having an issue, or I'm mentally having a problem, right? So I'm either going to do one of two things. I'm going to go to the doctor's office, or I'm going to go to the therapist. And that was it. There's not really any other options there. The problem is that because those are so isolated, right? You don't go to a therapist to talk about your mental issues and they talk about your physical body. Very, very rarely. Like, you're going to be focusing on, what kind of things can I do to cope? How can I deal with my anger? What can I do to this? If you go to you go see someone because you're having lower back pain, the doctor's probably not going to start asking you about your mental health He's going to focus, or she's going to focus on, let's get an x-ray, let's do an MRI, let's see if you have a pulled muscle, let's see what's going on there. But the problem is that it's actually all encompassing. These things work so closely together. And then realistically, we completely leave out the spiritual aspect of this because, well, quite frankly, especially in this day and age, we're just really not allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. So you're not going to go to the doctor. He's probably not going to talk to you about your spiritual level. Maybe a therapist might, but these things all need to be understood. Is like, okay, the Air Force used to talk about the whole person concept. And that's kind of what I like to think about this is. When you apply for something, they like to look at the whole person concept. They want to look at everything that you've ever done and not just one little aspect of something. Kind of works the same way. So we're going to talk about right now the conscious part of your brain. So that's the conscious part. That's the one that, like, I have a candle here. Oh, hey, I know the candle's hot. The conscious one is, hey, I know at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, I'm going to hop on and I need to, talk about whatever I'm talking about tonight. Then, of course, we have the subconscious level. That's the one that keeps track of everything you've ever eaten, everything you've ever said, everything you've ever thought, felt, seen, heard, smelled. It's all there. And so that one, he can be a little tricky and a little mischievous because it doesn't always communicate well or at all with the conscious. They're kind of like two people passing, in the street and not looking up and saying hi, but they actually live together. So it's really awkward. So we want to try to bridge that gap. And that's where I come in with what I do in my practice as an energy healer, and which I can teach you how to do yourself, which we will be going down that road of developing a program where you can actually learn to do what I'm doing so that you can heal on your own time and heal the people around you in your beautiful home and make your home, if you're like, my home isn't beautiful, make your home a beautiful place by adjusting the energy of the people that are around. You can adjust the energy of basically anything, situations. I was working with someone yesterday, and she was talking about her shower. And I was like, oh, the moment she said shower, I was like, something is amiss with the shower. And all it was, and I say all it was, a previous owner in the house had passed away in the shower. Well, you can have energies there. We want to remove those so there's not some blockage going on with the flow of amazing things happening for you, which can be blocked by all kinds of things. Okay, so the consciousness, it's really important. And even in my work of energy healing, people get really way off into left field with only focusing on the conscious level. So we have frustrations. I have frustration. Western medicine focuses slowly on the physical aspect. Energy healers focus solely on usually the subconscious aspect, but you got to bring it all together. You want to focus on the center. We'll call it that. I like that. The center aspect. So the consciousness creates your physical reality. What in the heck does that mean? It basically means that whatever I believe becomes truth. That's a really powerful statement. Think about a time when you've read like an article about people doing some really crazy things, or people that are influencing other people to do some really crazy things, or you're watching a relationship happen and you're like, what is going on right now? There was a show on Netflix, I think, and I don't remember what it was called. It was maybe like a year ago. I don't know. I haven't watched TV for so long, but it was a girl, and the mom was making her ill so that she could get attention. Anyone remember what that show was? And the girl was in a wheelchair on the TV show. I think she ended up having a boyfriend, but the mom was creating this reality, and the girl's body was reacting to it because her mother was telling her that she had these things wrong, so her body automatically reacts to it, and then that's the way that it works. You can see lots of people that don't have any symptoms of something until they get diagnosed with it, and then suddenly they're like, I didn't feel anything until someone told me that I had XYZ. So Our conscious creates our physical reality that we're in, and what we think is what we believe, and what we believe is what becomes truth to us. And so that is why we see lots of people that believe lots of different things. Lots of times these things are drilled into your head from your parents, and because we by nature just have that connection with our parents, we tend to believe what they say to us, which is also why if our parents tell us that we're not good enough, that our grades suck, that we're whatever it is, we believe it. And we believe that through life. And that one's a really hard one to break, just because of the relationship that we have with those people. So yes, people doing crazy things, simply it's become the reality. Okay, so here's the reason why this is important. These thoughts and these emotions become your patterns. These patterns are neurological messages. And when we have these thoughts, they become neurological messages, they become patterns. And then those patterns lead to our body responding in certain ways. Hello, hi, Jan. And then it becomes our reality. So think about this one. These thoughts and emotions become patterns. So if I look at myself in the mirror for 15 years and I decide to tell myself every day that every time I look in the mirror, every time I see myself, every time I put my pants on, every time I sit in a chair, I'm like, think to myself, I'm fat, I'm heavy, I'm fat, I'm heavy, I'm fat, right? So this goes on and on and on. This neurological message becomes a pattern. I'm affirming with myself that I am. And guess what? It is entirely possible as well, because you continually tell yourself that, even if you're dieting, for you to what? Remain overweight, because you are affirming with yourself that you are heavy and fat. So your body's going to retain, it's not going to allow your metabolism to work properly, because this is a pattern that you have created. So when a person does this and they have this image in their head that they're overweight, and then let's say that they start dieting, you see people that have lost tons of weight and they still have an image of themselves that they are heavier, even though they've lost a ton of weight. Same thing with people that have eating disorders. They're still looking in the mirror. They're basically seeing skeleton, bone, but their conscious is viewing that as they're still heavy. It's that pattern, and that pattern has now become trapped in the subconscious. And now we have to break that. These patterns become symptoms. So actually disliking yourself can lead to you having an illness. Anything that you do frequently can lead to you having an illness. What if you're the type of person that you're always worried about bills, that you're always worried about your kids, that you're always worried. Maybe you have so much anxiety at work. All of these emotions become patterns, and those patterns tend to break down our cells. And then we have an area in our body that becomes very alkaline, and we are susceptible to bacteria, infections, just breaking down of body parts. And that's how we start getting sick. Think of them as like a chemical response. So these chemical responses from these emotions, they transmit information from our consciousness, and then it creates all kind of catastrophic effects in your body, especially when we do this all the time. Or if you happen to be out of balance already, then they're almost magnified. So think of like if you're hungry, if you're really tired, if you've already been in an argument with someone that day and then you come home and you have another argument with someone in your house, boom, bada bing. I like to think of it as, think of the, 8th grade science lab that they use in movies, right? Everybody's in their little lab coats. They're at the tables where you're sitting with your lab partner, and you have this really cool glass beaker thing, and you're putting all this stuff in it. And these chemical responses from emotions are the big, right? And it comes bubbling out of the beaker, and it makes a mess everywhere. And there's like a massive explosion. That's basically what's going on inside your body when we have all this emotion and all of this neurological mess and patterns that are creating havoc in your body. That's just a lot to talk about. So taking a deep breath. What are we going to do about this? Well, the beautiful part of this whole process is all of these thoughts are what we refer to as neurological messages, but they're also neuroplasticity. So that means that we can change things. So how do we do that? In my line of work, it's actually pretty easy, right? Because I do this every day. So it's like running a marathon. I have a cool friend that I work with. She does triathlons, right? So for her, a triathlon is super easy. But if I just decide to wake up on Saturday morning and go do a triathlon, well, probably I'm not going to be super successful at it because I haven't practiced and I haven't done any training. So how do you do this? I'm going to tell you 3 ways that you can practice yourself to help you to get into a situational state where you can release these and do this without having to come to seek help from an energy healer or whatever, wherever you go. Okay. So these 3 things are attention, intention. I never realized how close those words were until I typed them out, and I was like, attention and intention, those are close. So your attention to something and your intention to do something and your imagination. So those 3 things, really important: attention, intention, and your imagination. What do all these 3 things have in common? Well, basically, we're getting stuff out of your head. All right. So there are also ways to do this, and this is going to show you exactly how. So meditation. What happens when I'm meditating? I'm releasing, right? I'm using intention by purposefully meditating to release things from my mental capacity. Relaxing and letting myself melt. That's one of my favorites. So I'm going to relax. I'm going to focus. I'm going to C-curve my spine like they do in Pilates, and I'm going to relax and I'm going to melt, just like I feel like I'm melting down into my body and breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth. You can think about relaxing different parts of your body. So giving attention, relaxing my shoulders, relaxing my stomach, relaxing my hips, relaxing my legs, relaxing my feet, letting my feet melt down into the ground. So I'm grounding my body. This is one of my favorite exercises. So now I'm starting into the imagination part of this, okay? Now, when I first started in energy healing and I kept hearing people say, imagine it, that's how it works. And I was like, it seems weird. I'm not 5 years old, right? Imagine a unicorn. But it really is. So even when I'm doing energy healing, and I'll show you what I'm doing, I'm moving my hands a lot. This is my source of energy. This is my source of bringing in higher power. So close your eyes and do this with me. It's really quite amazing. So breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and imagine beautiful white lights that's coming in through the top of your head. You can almost grab it with your hands. And I want you to think about pulling that white light, and you're making it almost into an orb. So creating almost this snowball out of this white light. And you're infusing it, bringing it into your body. And then as it's coming in, there isn't enough room for beautiful white energy and any negativity that's in your body. So think of it as the energy from the white light has the ability to push negative out, and it pushes it out through your toes. So as I bring in the white light, it fills my body up and all this negative emotion. So my anxiety, my fear, melt your body, let it push it out. And then just imagine the negativity going out through your toes, down through your toes, into the floor, and then use your intention to push it out into the room. And then you want to dissolve it. So whatever that looks like for you, right? I'm a fan of sparkles. So when I dissolve things into the room, I either see it, I might see it come out in like sparkle. I might see it come out into a beautiful mist, but I'm letting the universe, I'm letting higher divine power, I'm letting God, whatever that is for you, take that back because they have the ability to clear it out. And I'm just left with this beautiful feeling. And sometimes when I do this and I get into intention and meditation enough, I realistically will almost go into a trance space where I am probably a little bit difficult for me to come back out. And I almost feel like I could potentially literally pass out because I'm becoming so disconnected from my physical self. So that is an example of how you're using intention. You're focusing on what it is that you want to clear out. You're using beautiful intention and you're using your imagination. And it is a process that works so beautifully. But 100% before I started energy healing, I was like, whatever. I would have been like, this is not. So for those of you that are like skeptical, I'm going to tell you how this worked for me and how I saw it work for lots of people in a space where, yeah, we don't do energy healing because we are a fantastic Air Force pilots. So before I do that, really quick, I'm going to post my link again. So I would love it if you leave me a review. I'm starting my Google business page. And so I'm posting the link. That's what that is, if you're wondering. And then you can hop on there. You have to have a Google account. You just hop on, leave your review, and I will love you for it. And if you do it before May 31st, I'm giving away a $50 gift card. So thank you for doing that. Okay, so moving along, let's talk about this. For those of you that have followed me for a while, background of I went to college. I have a degree in aviation technology as my bachelor's degree with a minor in human resources. Then I got my master's degree in education leadership. And then I worked all the way up through my PhD until I got to my thesis. And then my husband took his life. So that kind of put a kibosh on that. And quite frankly, I just don't have a desire to go back and finish that because it was not really my cup of tea. And of course, once you leave, you know, right, they're like, sure, you can come back and finish, even though I was like 6 months from being done. It'll only cost you $35,000. And I'm like, yeah, no. Okay. So now I'm getting a second master's degree in food safety and quality, which is actually really interesting when it comes to energy healing because I learn all about lots of pathogens. And a lot of times I find those pathogens in my clients. And I'm like, oh, you have a trapped pathogen from eating meat that wasn't cooked enough. So we should have Tayson come in so you can say hi to the puppy. It's so freaking cute. All right, so we're going to talk about, though, I'm a big on data. I'm big on science. I have to understand how things are working. And that's why I love the whole your body is an energy because it can be measured. It can be seen. We have the ability to actually know that, in fact, the heart is the biggest producer of energy in your body and that your body is 100% electromagnetic. So let's talk about how we do this whole attention, intention, and imagination on a source where people are not involved in energy healing, but it still works and makes complete sense, even though that's exactly what they're doing. So this is called chair flying. It is incredibly expensive to fly an airplane. And you also, when you are in pilot training, so when I was in pilot training flying the Mighty T6, there's only so many times that you get to go up and fly, right? So you have to be very, very prepared to go on your flight. You don't want to fail your flight either because we are ranked. Don't let the puppy in the pond. Okay. You're ranked in, and when you're done, you should come and show the puppy to us. Okay? Don't throw rocks in the pond either, please. Okay. So in the military, you're ranked on how you perform. So all of your flights equal a score at the end, and that's how they decide which airplane they're going to let you have when you're done. So everybody has their wish of the airplane that they pray and they hope they get, and that's all based off of how you rank in your class. So you have to make the most of every flight that you have. And we do this thing called chair flying. And there is a poster on the wall in the room, and you basically go and you sit in a chair and you, with intention, do a flight. And you do this flight and you mock it out exactly how your flight's going to be. From the moment that you step out to the airplane, you're going through your checklist of all the things that you're checking on the outside of the plane, making sure that there's no damage, there's no leaks. You're checking all the electrical components. So you're doing this as you're sitting in the chair, you're going through it and you're going through your checklist, and you're basically have, you know, the imagination, you're walking around the plane, you're touching physically. I mean, you look like a complete goof, honestly, but you're doing this and everyone accepts it because they know that it works. So then you go through your flight and you're like Tiger 36, requesting takeoff, runway 16. And then, you're like, okay. And you're repeating the radio call back, Tiger 36, you're clear for takeoff. Winds are 037 at 7. You're like, copy, Tiger 36, clear for takeoff. And then you're like, okay, I'm going out into the runway. I'm pushing my power up. I'm pushing on the right rudder. I'm entering the runway. I'm going through my checklist, radio, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what all the steps are, but anyways, and you're flying from a chair. And then you're like, okay, I'm increasing my throttle. Okay, airspeed is 60 knots. Watching my airspeed go up. Okay, airspeed is 125. Rotate, pulling back, and you're literally flying. And you're making all the radio calls. Okay, come in here. We can't see him through the window. And then you're like, okay, gears up 3 checked. And then you're making radio calls with, oh my gosh, stop yelling, with your entire flight. Come in here. Come and show us your baby. Show us your baby. So the camera's right here. So okay, so you're in a good view. Okay, so tell us your baby. Show us your baby. What's its name?
Snowball.
Snowball. We changed it to Snowball. What did it used to be named? Don't leave because you have to take him. Oh, hello. This is a Pugapoo. So it's a Pomeranian mixed with a pug. And this is a Mamapoo. It's a mom mixed with a dad. How do you a mama dad? That's what you would be, a mama dad. Pugapoo. Ooh, you smell. His breath smells like skunk. Okay. So chair flying, we do this all the time. And even when I got into my higher end airplanes where I was flying with a co-pilot, we would sit in a mocked up, and it actually was just made out of wood. It was wood, and it had like the actual diagram of the airplane inside of it. So it just had chairs. You just sat in chairs, and we would go through our checklist, and we'd be like, checklist, okay, radio. And then the other guy would say check, and we would just go through it so that when we would get into the real airplane or the real simulator, we weren't wasting time trying to figure out, where all these buttons are and doing this whole flow, because you got to be quick at it. So chair flying, we used attention, we used intuition, and we used imagination. So our intention, right? Our attention is that we are sitting in front of this mocked up thing. Our intention is we want to be able to flow through this as quickly as possible because we're really on a time crunch, but you can't forget anything, right? Or people die. And our imagination is that we are truly putting ourselves into the seat of a pilot's spot and flying an airplane, even though we are sitting in a chair. And we did it. And that is exactly the same thing. It's taking control of your mind and using those neurological spots to create a pattern. Okay. So I love imagining energy coming in and energy coming out. And you can do this different ways because you're your own being. And for some people, it's different. I know people that bring in energy from the top and they bring in energy from their feet. I just can't do it like that. Like if I try right now to even imagine energy coming up through my feet, I can't pull it. But you can do energy in from the top, energy in from your feet, and then they meet in the middle. And then with intention, you imagine the energy coming out through your hands. Whatever works for you. There is no right or wrong answer to this. Own your individuality and love it. If I ever had someone say as a practitioner, because I have, in the line that I do, where I practice mostly body code, other healing practitioners clear the governing meridian. They clear energy out going this way. This seems so backwards to me. I might as well be running down the road backwards. It's like awkward. I clear my energy like this, and I grab it, and I pull it, and I send it out through my toes. You do it however it feels best for you, okay? Now, when do I do this? Me personally, I do it constantly. Now, I don't go walking around my work area and start grabbing a hold of energy and pulling it out and looking like something's wrong with me, right? Because someone's going to be like, are you okay? But I will tell you that when you first start doing it, use your hand because you are using intention. You are using the intention that you were imagining pulling that down. And so it helps you to do it because you are actually physically doing it as well. Now, for me, I don't have to. I can be driving along and be like, I'm feeling really anxious about something. Maybe I'm late and I'm like, I don't like this feeling. I want to get rid of it. So I'm going to breathe through my nose and I'm going to send the anxiousness out through my feet. And then boom, bada load, bing, it's gone. All right. Melting is a big one. So the other day I had to do a really big thing at work and it was very time crunched. And I was like, okay, I need to breathe and not get caught up in the anxiety and freaking out about this. Otherwise, what's going to happen? I'm going to start focusing on how freaked out and how anxious I am. And then I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do because I'm going to be overwhelming my mind. So I relaxed and I melted and I breathed. And the moment that I did, it cleared my head and I was able to be like, okay, I got this. And I did it. Catch myself. I like this term, catch myself. So what is this? I like to think of 3 times a day where I catch myself. So catch myself breath. I catch myself because it's really easy to get going through the day and not realize that you are clenching your jaw, that you're tightening your toes into the floor, that you're slouching over, your body's just really amuck. So catching yourself, being like, okay, I'm going to intentionally, I'm going to give some attention to my body. I'm going to breathe in, give some attention, be like, what am I feeling right now? Oh yeah, I'm feeling very heavy and tired. Feel the heavy, tired. I'm going to release that out through my body. And you'll be amazed at how well it works to do that just by you acknowledging that you're feeling that way. Shifting your thoughts can 100% shift your health, okay? Your body is electromagnetic and we are 100% guided by energy, and we can change that flow pattern. Let's talk about your heart because it is the biggest producer of this energy source. And in fact, if you go study some heart things, it's really interesting. They have found that there are actually fibers in your heart that they believe are responsible for feelings. So a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that your cognitive mind is in charge of like your logical thinking, but your heart is actually the way that you feel. And if you are, if you have a Christian background, there are lots of places in the Bible that talk about the heart. And so they are really studying that as the possibility that the heart really does feel things. And that's why people say you can die of heartache, die of heartbreak, right? Another really interesting thing is that you can find specifics where there are, and I don't remember exact details, so I'm just going to kind of give you the briefs of some of the ones that I've seen, but you can find heart transplant patients. So a person passes away, they donate their heart, and then the recipient of the heart starts to have really interesting thoughts or memories or dreams or things that they're doing that they've never done before. So I've seen stories where the person starts going to Starbucks and they order, can you hear the crickets? Isn't it cool? They start doing things like, I saw this person was ordering like caramel frappuccinos or something. And they'd never done that before. And so they were like, that's weird, but they had stayed.
Mama, who's going?
He was just out there a second ago.
I was playing with him. Then I called his name that fine so much, and he was on.
Okay, let's not worry about it then. And then they'll ask the person that's the family member and say, they'll talk about it. And the person will say, oh yeah, because my sister, who is the donor of your heart, used to stop at Starbucks every day and get this drink. And so it's really crazy. The one that really stands out to me, obviously, just because of my past, is that there was a gentleman and he took his life, and then I got to get this right. So, okay. So lady is married to a guy and he takes his life and he donates, he's an organ donor. So his heart gets donated to another person. Okay. That guy meets the lady, right? So now she's a widow. They meet, you know where this is going. They meet and they start having these feelings for each other and they're really just connected. And so, the crazy part of it is that even at that point, you're like, well, is he connected to her and is she connected to him because this is her previous spouse's heart in this gentleman's body, or like what is going on here? But it gets even more over the top because at some point this gentleman takes his life. So now she's widowed twice by two people that have taken their lives and they shared a heart. And so that one's really out there, but lots of stuff like that. If you go research it, you can see spots where, you know, people have done transplants and organs and they have some of the same things happen to them that the other person did. So absolutely the heart. So how does this play into attention and in intention and imagination? When you get to a spot where you are trying to heal yourself, focusing on your heart is a really great place to be. So you can take a deep breath and you can just feel it. Just come into yourself and get aligned. Now, I like to tap. And so I'll tap and I'll just be like, okay, I want to focus on these beautiful feelings of love and joy. And my favorite one is gratitude. So when I get in a spot where I'm just feeling like I want to rip into people, I start catching myself and I'll just relax and be like, okay, I want to release this anger. I want to release this tension. Hey, sweetheart, can you take that into the other room because you're being a little loud? Jason, please. Whatever. Okay, what are you going to do? You're just going to laugh with them. But I'll tap and I'll release and I'll, you know, you can tap on top of your head, tap wherever it feels right to you. Sometimes I catch myself tapping here, sometimes here. This is where your third eye is. For some reason, tapping on my third eye is really irritating to me, so I don't do that one. Sometimes I tap here, but just feel it, release it, find some gratitude. So maybe you come home and you're really stressed out, you're feeling really anxious, your kid's driving you crazy because they're laughing in the foyer while you're trying to do live. Just tap, feelings of joy, feelings of gratitude. I'm so thankful for my son and his puppy. They're the cutest thing ever. Just let it go. Things don't really matter. It works. It's so fantastic. So give it a try. So replacing those: happiness, joy, gratitude, love, connect with the space. Intention is really the way that we bring in this balance between our physical, our spiritual, and our emotional. Now, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this all works great and you can do this all day long, but there's some caveats here that you have to avoid. If you don't, I'm a personal testimonial to you that this stuff will not work correctly. So maybe you're like, man, I do this all the time and I'm trying it and stuff isn't working. Might be a moment to have a little bit of self-reflection, because I catch myself doing this and then I'm like, wow, why do I not feel as grounded? Wow, why do I not feel as connected to higher source, higher power? Why am I not feeling as spiritual? Why am I just feeling woo and I don't have the energy to do what I need to do? Then it comes back to this. Okay, so these are my avoids. We're going to call this a void. So you can add this as like the fourth thing, but I like sets of three, so I'm going to put my avoid completely separate. So avoid. You ready for these? So you have to avoid lying. Now, if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't lie, what are you talking about? I'm not just talking about you're making up a really big lie. Like someone says to you, you know, did you steal that candy from Walmart? Right? I'm not talking about that kind of a lie necessarily. Not talking about you're lying to your spouse that you spent money, or you're lying to someone at work. I'm talking about even the little itty bittiest things. Making something up so that, you know, you don't look like you did something that you shouldn't have, trying to get out of something, trying to avoid the blame, trying to avoid making someone angry. It doesn't matter, okay? A lie is a lie is a lie, right? We're all taught like, oh, a white lie is okay. The problem with lying is, here's the kicker. because I was always taught, well, if your lie isn't really hurting anyone, then is it really that big of a deal? The lie and the problem with the lie is that your subconscious and your conscious mind absolutely know that you're lying. And that's where the problem is. Has nothing to do with if you're hurting anybody else so much. I mean, if you are hurting someone else, then it does, because you're also giving out some negative energy towards that person. But let's say that I say something to someone and it's a lie. Like, let's say, I mean, it could be something simple. Let's say that I, need to cancel an appointment and I make up a lie about my dog got hit by a car and it really didn't. Seems fine because I really want the person to understand that I really need to get out of my appointment, but my cognitive mind knows that I'm lying. My subconscious mind knows that I'm lying. And that just is a creation of negative energy. And so you can't do that, no matter how small it is. Next one is gossiping. You have to avoid gossiping, right? This one's really hard because how easy is it to get with friends, to get with your spouse, to get with your kids, to get with your neighbors, to get with your coworkers. We are really, really enticed by gossiping. And the problem with gossiping is it does create a negative energy for us. And it also makes it so that other negative energies can attach to you. And if you're like, what does that mean? Well, there are so many negative energies that have the ability to attach to you. Some of them can come from other people. Some of them can just be negative energies that are part of the universe that can attach to you. Negative energies can come from all sorts of places. People that are associated with these really low vibrating things like fear, creating fear, damaging other people, damaging property, doing things that are just, on a lower vibrating level, they have all kinds of energies hanging out with them because those types of energies love that kind of stuff. Well, unfortunately, when we're in an unbalanced state, we can absorb energy from them, and then we can take on that same energy. So you don't want to be doing things like lying and gossiping because outside energy sources are highly attracted to this. I call it, that's what they're feeding on. So if I'm going around and I'm lying and I'm gossiping all the time, outside energy sources like, ooh, this person looks scrumptious. And then they have the ability to attach themselves to you. Other ones, hatred. Guilty, right? You guys know I have serious issues with my neighbor. I really have to focus on let that go. There are things that he does that I'm just like, man, this guy's a user. And I just catch myself even saying that word, right? Like, let it go. Stop. I don't care. You're digging your own self over there. Okay. Hatred. Taking advantage of people. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like I'm in a situation right now where I have an issue going on with someone where I have purchased something and now I can't get the service. That sounds horrible. Get the service done yet because of a timeline issue. But that person has already bought material. So this is like Dave buying. This is a good example. This is like somebody saying like, hey, we want you to side our house. My husband does house siding. So that's like them saying that and then Dave going and buying all the siding because he's supposed to start tomorrow. And then the homeowners being like, hey, we've had something happen and now we're actually not going to side our house for 8 months. Okay, so that would be them taking advantage of Dave, knowing that he's already bought their siding and not being like, but let us pay for the siding that you bought, right? You don't want to do stuff like that. That's a no bueno in the karma department. Don't take advantage of people. Especially, financially, basic needs wise, don't do that. See this all the time with people on Facebook, right? They make up some kind of fictitious story so they can get free things. And then sometimes you'll see them turn around and sell them. Or just doing things that, like I've seen someone on Facebook saying that she needs a specific thing for her child and she doesn't have a child. So don't be doing that. Using people. Then we also have energy vampires, right? Those are people that just suck the life out of you. They're usually chronic complainers. They're always talking about negative stuff. They're never at a vibrational level. You have to avoid that. If you could see the energy coming out of people and it stained your skin with their negativity, you would be like, yeah, no, I'm avoiding people that are like this at all costs. I don't care if I look like a jerk. I don't care if my friend thinks I'm mean because I don't want to go to lunch with her because it is so detrimental to your soul. Basically, think of it as that it puts an imprint on it. You might as well just be stamping it, and it creates a total negative balance for you. Okay, guys, so that's what I have for you today. For those of you that have just ordered, Lisa, I saw your comment. For those of you that have just hopped on, you'll see that I posted a link a couple times. That's just to go leave a review on my Google business page. If I've helped you with a session, if I've helped you with a video, whatever, love to hear from you. Just please include how you were feeling before and what I've done to help you. I greatly appreciate it. And there you go, you guys. I hope you have a beautiful night. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Don't forget to love yourself, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:15 Mountain Standard Time.